Last night I had to log into my student loan account to print out the paperwork to have my taxes done today. So I got to get a glimpse of my student loan balance for the first time in, I don't know, presumably a year. I honestly don't remember knowing what I owed still. Now, for a point of reference, I graduated in 2011. Okay, so I've been making student loan payments for almost 14 years. I actually did the math. It was about 165 monthly student loan payments that I've made so far.
Yo, that's more than half of what you would do if you got a 30-year mortgage. If you got a 15-year mortgage, you would be done with your mortgage before you got done with your student loan payments. If you were not consistent and you did not make an informed decision on what it is that you would do. Yo, we take out student loans like we take out house loans. If you really think about it, like people are taking out 100 and something plus $1,000 to go to school. That is insane to me.
Okay, now I went to pharmacy school. I'm a pharmacist. That's a doctorate degree. It took 6 years. I went to a private school, not because I wanted to, but at the time, there were only 6 schools in the state of Pennsylvania with a pharmacy program. 2 of them were state schools, 4 of them were private. Chose the school I chose because they gave me a $12,000 a year academic scholarship for the first 4 years. So I got $48,000 worth of academic scholarship. So that's why I chose that school. So my education, even with the scholarship, cost still like $250,000, roughly. Now, I'm fortunate my parents paid.
A quarter. Mm, I just can't fathom it unless you're becoming a surgeon. Unless you are becoming, it's gotta be something. Now, I can't even think about unless you somehow graduate to become the top lawyer in America or something. I don't know, bro, but $250,000. I mean, that just seems incredibly irresponsible for your degree to cost $250,000. As much money as I've made in corporate America, I could not justify paying $250,000 for my education. It's not registering with me, dog. The math ain't mathing. And for people to be so smart and to be going into these programs and to be able to graduate and then ultimately get a job, what is a pharmacist? Let me look up what a pharmacist makes.
Paid for a really good chunk of that, over 100,000. I don't remember the exact numbers, honestly, of how it all washed out. But I do know when I got my first student loan bill in the mail, well, I almost shit a brick, but my balance was like right around $125,000. Okay.
Pharmacists make an annual wage, and obviously this is in my area, so I'm pretty sure that it's more in other areas. So in the Michigan area, the Metro Detroit area, a median annual wage of about 137,000. Lowest 10% earns under 87,000. Top 10% over $172,000 a year. So let's just say hypothetically, I still couldn't justify doing it, but let's just say hypothetically that you decide that you want to do this and you want to pay it. That means for the first few years, don't buy nothing, don't do nothing, don't go nowhere. After you get your career, you want to make sure that you invest everything into paying it off so that you're not paying a whole bunch of student loan interest. That would be the smart thing to do. But let me go ahead and hear what the rest she got to say, and then we're going to come back. And I always like to link back to the content creator. So that link will be in the description. Also, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. And then last but not least, make sure you guys tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description, and hit a like for the algorithm. Let's continue.
165 monthly payments on $125,000. How much do you think I still owe? $78,000.
Yeah, well, the problem is that you was probably on an income-based repayment plan instead of actually paying a payment plan on the 10-year schedule. They always say, well, this is how many payments that I've made. They never say how much they paid towards it. You cannot be on an income-based repayment plan and think that that is going to be enough. That's not how the system works. That means that for the most part, you're paying mostly interest. You're not actually paying down on the principal. This is not a student loan problem. This is not a loan problem. This is a irresponsibility on the behalf of the person that is paying the student loan problem. You need to be making monthly payments according to the schedule or ahead of schedule and overpaying so that you'll ultimately kill the interest and then get over the principal, and then you would have actually paid this off in 10 years. But obviously, either she was on an income-based repayment plan or she had some forbearance in there somewhere, whatever. Either way, interest continues to accumulate when you do not pay down whatever it is that you owe. This is simple. And then they get on the internet and they look for sympathy, but in reality, you the one that took out the loans. Stop acting like it's an issue with the loans themselves. This is a accountability issue with the person that took out the loans.
Yeah, I don't know. The math isn't mathing. Now, full
You're
disclosure,
a pharmacist and you don't.
I did refinance at some point, which is a horrible idea. Like at the time,
There you go. There you go. There you go. You get it. There it is. It's right there in front of your face. We got to stop acting like victims and take care of our responsibility. And now with these student loan garnishments coming up on the 5th of May, starting on the 5th of May, people are going to start being held accountable.
it seems like a good idea because the monthly payments are so like overwhelming, but in the long run, you're screwing yourself when you refinance the student loan. You just you just are. So 165 monthly payments. I never deferred it. I never missed a payment. And I still owe $78,000. And I've been out of school for 14 years. My oldest turns 10 next week. So realistically, if she decides to go to college, I'm going to be still paying my student loans and likely still owe what, like 30 some $1,000s on my student loans when I'm trying to figure out how to pay for her college.
Or you can lower your lifestyle and throw everything you can into paying off the debt. And that way you're not just on the scheduled program, you can actually pay it off early, and then you don't saddle your daughter or your son or whoever your kids are with the same generational curses that you have, and that's basically you working to pay off your student loans for the rest of your life. That's no way to live life.
And I don't know what the solution is to this whole situation. I don't think loan forgiveness is fair. I don't think taxpayers who didn't go to college should have to have their tax money pay off the student loans for those who did choose to go to college.
Well, at least she's reasonable on that front.
I don't think that's fair at all. But I do think something needs to be done because universities are charging like obscene tuition. Student loan companies are doing predatory lending to children and setting up people for like a lifetime of debt. Like you're starting out your adult life with like crippling debt. And I don't know what the solution is here, but something.
I know what it is. We have to be more involved in our children's lives. We cannot have children out of wedlock. We cannot push them out of the house and think that they're grown enough to do what they want to do when they want to do it, because they're not. They're not mature enough. They're not grown enough, and they're going to saddle themselves and then regret it for the rest of their life, when you should be making an informed decision, even if they don't necessarily care for the decision that you make. You should be making this informed decision so that you can then do what? Be thanked later on in your life when they say, you know what, I see all of these people suffering, and thank you for being a parent instead of being my friend and doing the thing that's right for me, instead of allowing me to go out here to these indoctrination camps and not even have a $150,000, $250,000 experience on these campuses. Dog, I am blown away. And this was what she said. She graduated in 2011. So these are the 2010s, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4s that she was in school in order to become a pharmacist. And I'm assuming that you have to work. And that's the other part about it, is that if you're taking out these loans to get these degrees, to get educated, then the expectation is for you to get the most out of that by working. Then y'all want to go back and be stay-at-home mothers. You don't want to work no more. You tired. You don't agree with your degree anymore and all of this stuff. No. We need to have more reasonable conversations about what you're being educated in, what paths you're choosing, and how much it's going to cost, and what you think your lifestyle is going to be in the end. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Hanley 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life.